this is Sean from the Pompey Games Room. Thanks for checking out my latest review here, which is going to be a quick look at the GX4000 by Amstrad.
On main viewer now, Captain. It appears to have dual control pedals, plus it's powered by ROM cartridge. Scan reveals lifelike picture, plus stereo sound. Captain, where did that thing come from?
The GX4000 games console from Amstrad at £99. Where else could it come from?
So the GX4000 was released in 1990 after it was announced at a computer and technology show in Paris. It was released at a price of $99.99, which is about obviously £100, and it was only really, well, I suppose you can only say it was launched in 4 countries. So it was obviously in the UK, France, Spain and Italy. The price was usually the same all over the place. It was about £100. It always came with a game called Burning Rubber, which was a pack-in title, and which we're going to see a quick playthrough at the end of this video. And yeah, basically games were priced from £25 each, and it's a pretty good console. Not too bad. It's good to have now. The tagline with this console was "Bring the whole arcade into your home," which we're going to touch on again in a minute, because we're going to see some awesome knitwear with the on the box, and obviously some kids really over the moon playing on their GX4000. So we'll go into that in a minute. So the GX4000 shared hardware with some of Amstrad's CPC Plus computer line products, and basically it was just a way of combining everything into a console and trying to sell it into the home, rather than a big sort of computer package where you had to buy monitors, you know, joysticks, keypads, tape decks, things like that. They could incorporate it all into one little box that you could, obviously they could then design, which they did very well. There was nothing else in the market that looked like this. And to be fair, the design of this, it was, all signs were looking good. It released in 1990 that this thing was going to be a big hit for Amstrad. It had some pretty good little games, but somehow it failed, and one of the main reasons it failed was because it wasn't promoted enough. Only £20 million was spent on the advertising, and you know, which is peanuts compared to what Sega spent on the Mega Drive and Nintendo did in the early days of the NES. So let's actually start off now and take a look at the actual GX4000, at the box, and a quick little bit of gameplay at the end of Burning Rubber. Okay guys, let's take a look at the box for the console. And this is the standard design for the GX4000, which came with a Burning Rubber. Warning, there is some pretty extreme knitwear on this box, and yeah, typical sort of 90s advertising, but here we go. Look at that. Now that is an Aaron Cardi, obviously. So anyway, this is the standard box design, guys. Basically, these GX4000s only ever came with one game, as far as I'm aware, and that was Burning Rubber. They have a little warning sticker on the side here for each one of them, which basically told you about pulling out the power supply when the console was still on. Now, this was something that was standard on every single one of these boxes. Apparently I had a lot of issues with consoles going wrong, with people doing the wrong thing to them. So anyway, the console was the same back and front, there's nothing different. This box is in amazing condition. I ended up picking this up on Gumtree about 3 or 4 years ago. Possibly not 3 or 4 years ago, that's a massive over-exaggeration. I picked this up in one of my first ever pickup videos, so if you guys want to check back on my video history, and you'll be able to see a sort of a mini review of this there. But anyway, so we'll go further into it now, like into the box and stuff. So on the side here, we've got the contents. It's basically just listing the optional extras that you can get. It's got a picture of the box contents, so we've got Burning Rubber there. You never got the case with this, you only ever got the game, and obviously the instruction manual, GX4000, and 2 very similar NES Master System control pads. And yeah, I mean, the system itself looks pretty futuristic for the time. This looked like nothing else that was out at the time, and we'll touch further on that when we get into the box. So anyway guys, this is a quick look at the box, so let's now take a look inside and have a look at the packaging. Okay guys, we're now inside the box. This is a standard thing for every single GX4000, it was the same inlay and everything. So we take the lid off, and this is how they came packaged. So obviously you've got your console on top here, you've got your game here, and you've got two controllers. Now, my controllers for this console are in pretty much brand new condition, if I'm being honest, because they've still actually got the protective film over the top, so both of them have still got this as well. So just to put this in sort of a comparison really to the Nes Joy Pads, which I said are very similar. Obviously here's a standard Nes pad and the Amstrad GX4000 pad. Now size wise they're pretty much bang on. The GX4000 pad is a bit slightly different, I would say, but not much. These things are pretty much identical size. Obviously you've got the rounded edges here on the GX4000 pads. So obviously in the box you've got two of these, which it alluded to on the box. They're pretty comfy to hold, I've got to admit, and obviously the cord coming out the top, unlike the first sort of Sega Master Systems where the cord came out the side, which is an idiotic design really. So you've got two control pads. The second one, again with the plastic protective film on it. Your console, which we'll touch on in more detail in a minute. You've got the burning rubber instruction manual, which is, like I said earlier, there was no box for the game, it just came packaged in the box, as you can see here. And behind it you've got the GX4000 instruction manual. The manuals itself are just black and white, there's no colour in there. And the same goes for the game. Just basically explaining the different functions of the game, but to be fair, burning rubber is pretty simple, and you'll see what I mean when we actually get onto the gameplay later. You get the game, which is quite cleverly disguised in the box very easily. Just pulls out the side here. TV cables. And the power plug. Obviously this is a standard power plug for the UK. So if anyone gets this console abroad, they need to check out an alternative power supply source. Again, please consult MN12 Bird's video for this, as he went quite, I believe he went quite into a lot of detail on the power supply for this. Obviously when I sent it to him, you know, there wasn't really a lot of power supply around, so he had a UK power supply, so he had to search out something alternative for the console, guys. And obviously it looks like something completely different. I don't think there were many consoles looking like this back in the day. So obviously on the top of the console, it's sorry, it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got your cartridge slot here, which made it was very, very easy to slot the game in. You just pulled it out simply. To the right hand side here, you've got a pause button, which you could pause during the game. Obviously there's no start button or pause button on the actual controller itself, so your pause button is on the console itself. You've got the on off button, which is a bright red thing here, and then you've got your power LED here, which lights up when the console's actually on. Okay guys, well let's take a quicker look at the front ports along the front of the machine here. Obviously let's start off here. You've got a headphone socket, you've got two controller ports here for the control paddles, you've got a gap here for a joystick to be installed. You could use these joysticks on many Amstrad PCs, and here you've got an auxiliary speaker device where you could plug obviously alternative sound amplifiers and things like that into. Sockets on the back. Let's start off with these two, they're pretty important. If you're hooking this up to a CPC monitor for the Amstrad systems, you've got a 5V DC power supply here. You've also got the monitor socket here, so you've got two sockets here. This is for the main power input for the console, so the power supply, which I showed you earlier, that would plug in here. Then these two things here are for the Amstrad CPC monitor. You've then got a SCART connection here for a better picture quality, which obviously is nowadays pretty normal on these sort of consoles. You've then got your sound switch, which is just a switch system there, obviously. And then you've got your UHF, which is the standard cable that we use with the, which comes in the box with the console here, and I showed you earlier for the TV cables. Now, on the side of the console, it's held together via some clips, and there are some fixings in this as well, I believe. You've got one in the centre here. You've got basically clips down the side, which is holding the thing together. And like I said, it's pretty light. So that's all the points looked at on the console. So let's now hook it up and take a look at Burning Rubber. Right guys, it's all hooked up to the TV, so let's pop in Burning Rubber and give it a go. So it's pretty quick to boot up, as you can see, and this is the main title screen. There's no sort of Amstrad boot up thing at all. So you can see there that it's consulting buttons 1 and 2. So the joypad has buttons 1 and 2, and you've got a directional pad. It's not like the Nes pad where you've got A and B. So for the purposes of this, let's just go straight into it. And to actually move on this, you need to push forward. The two buttons here, one's a brake, and the other one seems to be a brake. So obviously here we go, we're off. So this is back in 1990 when this thing was released. As I said earlier, it was discontinued in 1991, just before the Mega Drive came out. And yeah, I mean, if you had this though, I mean, it was definitely up there with the NES and the Master System. And if you got this in a pack-and-title game, I mean, it's not bad at all. I can't grumble about it at all. I think it's a brilliant little system. And they do seem to fetch quite a lot of money nowadays, anything from sort of £40 upwards. So make sure if you're interested in buying one that you look around. But due to them not being out for very long, they weren't played an awful lot either. So usually you can pick them up in fantastic condition. So keep your eyes peeled for these guys on eBay especially, because they seem to be popping up on there quite a lot at the moment. So this picture, apologies first obviously guys for the picture quality. On this it's using the standard cables which came with the system. It's, to be fair, it's not bad. I can't grumble about it. To be fair, it's on a modern day TV just into the back aerial port, and yeah, it's not too bad. It's playable, and it's recordable as well. I mean, I'm looking at it through the camera. It's not too bad. So we've just finished the qualifying there for the actual race. Off we go, lap 1. Obviously, very, very 8-bit sound graphics there. One thing I do want to say about this is that the scaling in this is pretty good. I mean, the way that things sort of come towards you is pretty good. I mean, considering this machine was out in 1990, you know, Amstrad had a pretty good little machine here. You just wish they would have promoted it a bit more. It's obviously rumoured they only spent £20 million. I mean, that's a lot of money, obviously nowadays still, but nowadays you hear about like Xbox and people like that, you know, the PlayStation 4 and things like that. They're going to have an absolute monumental advertising budget behind them. So, you know, £20 million back in the day was money to promote it for sure, but money to over promote it. I mean, it's rumoured that Sega spent hundreds of millions promoting the Mega Drive, and that was released in 1991. But it's a real shame that this never saw really the light of day. It was only out for about a year. So game wise, I think that one of the best games to get on this is Batman. I've seen footage of that. I think there's plenty of videos on YouTube for that game. It's pretty good. The controllers are pretty comfortable to hold as well. They're very similar to a Nes pad, so and a Master System pad. So no, they're pretty good. Anyway guys, this about sums up my review for this game and the GX4000. Thanks for checking it out. Please feel free to comment, rate and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out MN12Bird's video of the console that I sent him, as he's gone further into the, you know, all the stats on the console and everything. I'll put a link in the description below. Please feel free to comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.